I was hired to protect a man who thought girls were disposable. I found one drugged in his suite. That was my line. My name's Dan Rourke. I'm 46. Been a bodyguard for 17 years, most of it freelance. If you've seen a red carpet or a press tour in the last decade, odds are I was just out of frame, watching someone pretend to be a good person. I don't really talk about what happened in Vegas. Not because I'm scared, though. Yeah, I've got cameras on my front door and I sleep with a bat by the bed now. I don't talk about it because I still don't know if I did the right thing soon enough. If you'd asked me then, I'd have said yes. Now? I'm not so sure. I didn't save her the way I should have. I think about that a lot. The guy's name was Landon Chase. Tennis prodigy, world number 5 at the time, media darling. Sponsors loved him. The face of American grit. I was assigned to him during the Southwest Open in Vegas. Big contract, high profile, good money. No one said it out loud, but we all knew my job was less about protecting him and more about making sure nothing embarrassing got out. I was told, stay out of the suites after 10. That was the first red flag. Not, stay alert. Not, watch the exits. Just don't go in. I should have listened. Or maybe I never should have taken the job in the first place. But I did. And what I saw, it's been 2 years, and I still hear her voice sometimes when I'm alone at night. She couldn't have been older than 17. Curled up on the floor, shaking, whispering, please don't let them do it again. I didn't know her name. Still don't. I only saw her twice. But she's the reason I lost everything, and maybe the reason I'm still a human being. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm done staying quiet. Back then, things looked clean on the surface. Polished. Professional. I'd done enough of these high-profile gigs to know the drill. Tight schedules, fake smiles, handlers running on 5 hours of sleep and caffeine. Vegas heat blasting you 1 minute, freezing AC the next. Everyone pretending they weren't one mistake away from a scandal. I was subcontracted through an agency I'd worked with before. They trusted me because I didn't ask questions. That's what got me the job with Landon Chase. 1 week, all access, full discretion. He had a whole machine around him, assistants, PR reps, some ex-pros hanging around as coaches. A lot of guys in $1,000 sneakers pretending to be friends. My job was to stay visible, keep out weirdos, handle travel and perimeter stuff. Escort to events. Stand by the door. Be the wall. Landon smiled like a politician. Knew how to touch shoulders, say your name like he meant it. His fans ate it up. I didn't buy it for a second. We flew in on a private jet. He barely looked at me. I was just another shadow in the corner. But I heard him bragging to one of his handlers. Vegas is where we separate the grown-ups from the girls. I should have clocked it then. But I didn't. I laughed like everyone else. He stayed at the penthouse suite at the Halcyon. 3 bedrooms, hot tub on the balcony, blacked-out windows. Staff was hand-picked, concierge, catering, even hotel security were in on it. The unspoken rule was, whatever the star wants, the star gets. That week, we hit 3 public events, 2 private ones. All glitter and flashbulbs. He kissed babies, signed rackets, charmed donors. Then the elevator doors would close, and he'd switch off like a light. Cold. Like the show was over and we were just props he no longer needed. I remember watching him at one gala, arm around a pop singer, grinning like a kid. I caught his eye for a second. He winked. I thought it meant, stay sharp. Now I think it meant, you're in it too. The first time I saw her, I thought she was drunk. Maybe one of the girls from the sponsor party. Too young, but that wasn't rare in those circles. I was walking past the guest suite on the 2nd floor. It was maybe 2:15 a.m. I heard something, low, muffled, like a sob that got swallowed. I paused at the door. Looked around. No cameras in that hallway. Another red flag. I knocked once soft. No answer. Then I tried the handle. Unlocked. She was curled up at the foot of the bed. Knees to her chest, dress twisted around her legs, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Eyes barely open. She looked like she'd been crying for hours. She didn't scream. She just whispered, please don't let them do it again. And for a second I didn't move. I just stood there, heart hammering, trying to process what the hell I'd walked into. She couldn't have been more than 17. Maybe 16. pale, shaking, bruises on her arms. There was a purse dumped out on the nightstand, makeup, gum, and a hotel-branded card key with someone else's name on it. I crouched down slowly and said, "You okay?" She flinched hard. That's when Melissa appeared in the doorway. Calm as ever. PR smile on. "Oh no no no," she said like I'd caught someone shoplifting. "Not this." "She snuck in, Dan. She's fine. I've got it handled." She knelt beside the girl, gently but firmly pulling her up. "Come on, sweetheart, let's get you cleaned up." The girl looked at me. Not Melissa. Me. And I swear on my life, there was terror in her eyes. Melissa led her out, acting like it was nothing. Like she'd done this before. I just stood there. I didn't stop her. I didn't raise hell. I went back to my room, stared at the ceiling till sunrise, and told myself it wasn't what it looked like. That was the lie that broke me. I told myself I was wrong. That I'd misread it. That she really did sneak in, maybe took something, freaked out. I'd seen young fans throw themselves at celebrities before. Maybe this was that. Maybe I just caught the fallout. I called Reggie, my agency contact, that morning. Told him what I saw. Or tried to. He cut me off fast. "You're not on security inside the rooms," he said. "Stay in your lane, Dan." When I pushed, he said, "You don't want to go poking around a client's privacy. This isn't your old army gig. Keep it professional." Professional. Right. Melissa acted like nothing had happened. Told me with that same rehearsed warmth. "Appreciate your concern, really. But she was just having a tough night. These girls get overwhelmed, you know?" Starstruck. Landon didn't even try to hide it. He heard I'd walked in and laughed like it was a joke. "She was begging to get in," he said over breakfast, sunglasses on, no shame. "Some girls want the fantasy, then change their minds halfway through. That's on them." I didn't reply. Just nodded and poured his coffee. I kept telling myself I didn't know the full story. That I wasn't there when it started. That I had no proof. That she could have been drunk or high or, hell, maybe she had snuck in. But then why did she look at me like that? Why didn't she scream for help? Why didn't I do anything? I'm supposed to stop things like that. That's what I'm trained for. That's what I am. A barrier. A buffer between danger and the defenseless. And I walked away. I'd never felt that kind of shame before. Heavy, cold, like it settled in my chest and refused to leave. I started watching. Listening more. Keeping mental notes. If I couldn't act, I'd at least know. I'd see. That's what I told myself anyway. The next night, I saw her again. Same girl. Same vacant look. Different dress. She wasn't alone this time. Melissa had her by the arm, steering her into one of the guest rooms like luggage. No struggle. No words. Just that slow, resigned walk. Like someone going in for surgery they didn't agree to. I was standing in the hallway, off shift technically, waiting for Landon to come back from dinner. I watched the door close and just stood there. Frozen. My fists clenched without me realizing. I didn't go in. Not yet. Later, after everyone had cleared out, I doubled back. The room was empty. Smelled like cheap perfume and bleach. But I found something they missed, an earring, crushed into the carpet. Tiny, plastic, shaped like a pink heart. That same night, I found pills in Landon's suite. Scattered across the dresser. Not prescription bottles, loose. A few crushed. A few still powdery. I knew what I was looking at. Benzos, maybe worse. This wasn't recreational. This was control. I started recording. Audio only, on a burner phone. I caught pieces, Landon bragging to his crew about breaking in rookies. About how they always come back after the first time. Laughter, clinking glasses, some girl giggling way too high-pitched. I sent a clip to Reggie. No reply. Next day, Melissa called me in for a check-in. All smiles, all spin. "We've had some concerns," she said. "You've been intense lately. Is everything okay? Are you maybe burned out?" I told her I was just doing my job. That I took my duty seriously. She leaned in close, voice soft. "Don't make this bigger than it needs to be, Dan. You're here to protect, not police. Let the adults handle it." Adults. I left that room feeling like I'd been slapped. They didn't even pretend to lie anymore. They knew I knew. and they didn't care. The third time, I didn't wait. It was around midnight. I was covering the late shift, stationed in the hallway outside Landon's suite. The party upstairs had died down. The staff had cleared out. Everything was quiet, too quiet. That same door opened again. And she came out. Not Melissa. Not anyone from the entourage. Her. The girl. Barefoot. Wrapped in a towel. Hair soaked. Bleeding from one knee. I didn't even think, my body just moved. She froze when she saw me. Then bolted. I chased her. We ended up in a back hallway near the service elevator. She backed into a corner like a hunted animal. She kept repeating, "I didn't take anything. I swear I didn't." I said, "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't believe me. I could see it in how she held herself, like every adult she'd met had already betrayed her. I pulled out my phone and called 911. She tried to run again. I blocked her gently, hands up. "I'm trying to help. I promise." She stared at me, breathing hard, and for a moment, I don't know, she believed me. Or wanted to. But that moment didn't last. The elevator dinged. Melissa stepped out, flanked by hotel security and one of Landon's handlers. Like they'd rehearsed it. "There you are," Melissa said sweetly, like a mom talking to a toddler. "You scared everyone, sweetheart." The girl shrank into herself. Said nothing. Melissa looked at me. Smiling. Voice still syrupy. "You've overstepped, Dan. I think it's best you head back to your post." I didn't move. Then the handler stepped between us and said flat, "She doesn't want your help. Walk away." I looked at her one last time. She didn't nod. Didn't shake her head. Just stood there. Silent. And I let them take her. I told myself it was temporary. That the cops were coming. That she'd be safe soon. But no one ever called me. No officers came. The report never happened. And in the pit of my stomach, I knew I'd just handed her back. They pulled me off the detail the next morning. No warning. No meeting. Just a knock on my door and a guy in a suit handing me a sealed envelope. Inside, a termination letter, a signed NDA reminder, and a cashier's check. 3 months' pay. Labeled as a loyalty bonus. I called Reggie. Straight to voicemail. Then my keycard stopped working. Melissa saw me in the lobby on my way out. She gave me a smile so polished it could have been carved. Said, "No hard feelings, Stan. You're just not a good fit for this tier of clientele." I asked her, "Where is she?" She tilted her head like I'd asked something in a foreign language. "Who?" I walked out of that hotel feeling like I'd left someone buried alive inside it. Back home, the silence hit first. No new calls. No contracts. Emails went unanswered. Agencies I'd worked with for years suddenly had nothing on the books. No explanations. Just nothing. Then the rumors started. That I'd lost it. That I'd gotten aggressive with a client's guest. That I'd crossed a line. A handler I used to know told me off the record that Landon's team was managing the narrative. There were no police reports. No footage. Nothing to back me up, because they made sure of that. I wanted to go public. But I knew what would happen. No one listens to the guy with no proof. And if I broke the NDA, I wouldn't just get sued, I'd get buried. I stayed quiet. And every night I saw her. That look in her eyes. That towel. The blood. The silence. She never screamed. That's what still gets me. She never screamed. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Started drinking more than I should have. Didn't shave. Barely left the house. I'd sit in the dark and try to replay every second of that week. Try to see what I missed. Try to figure out where exactly I failed. Because I did fail. I failed her. It took almost 3 months before I heard from her again. Not directly. Not at first. I got a message through an encrypted email I hadn't used in years. It was just a link to a locked Instagram profile. No name. No posts. Just a single story, black background, white text. "They said you tried to help me. Thank you." That was it. But it was her. I don't know how I knew. I just did. The profile vanished 2 hours later. That was when everything clicked into place. The shame, the silence, the weight. I'd been sitting in it so long I didn't notice it was poisoning me. So I got up. I pulled every note I'd scribbled on napkins and receipts. Dug out the burner phone with the audio clips. Made backups. Wrote out dates, faces, hotel staff names. Started a folder labeled "If Found, Publish." It wasn't justice, but it was something. A shape to the story. I reached out to an old contact, someone who used to write freelance exposés on sports corruption. They didn't ask questions. Just gave me a Dropbox and said, "Send what you've got." So I did. And then I waited. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. Shadows in the corner of my vision. Lights on across the street at 3 a.m. A guy I didn't recognize sitting in a car 2 nights in a row. Then I came home and my door was unlocked. Nothing taken. Nothing out of place. Except the folder on my desk, opened, rifled through, then closed. That's when I bought the bat. That's when I stopped drinking. That's when I remembered who I used to be. Not someone who walks away. I stopped waiting for someone else to fix it. The journalist ran the story anonymously. Not a front-page exposé, just a quiet blog post buried in a niche site. No names, no photos, just enough for someone paying attention to feel sick. I sent it to a nonprofit that helps exploited minors. I didn't tell them who I was. Just gave them the files, dates, the clip of Landon saying, "They always come back." 3 days later, their legal team emailed me. They said I wasn't alone. Turns out she wasn't the only one. They had a list, names, statements, sealed reports that had been buried for years. I added what I had to theirs. I don't know what they're building, but it's big. And now people knew I talked. The next week, my tires were slashed. All 4. Middle of the night. Then someone keyed my front door. Just one word. Liar. I filed a report, but nothing came of it. The cop who showed up looked more annoyed than concerned. Said maybe it was just some local punk. Sure. That night, I slept on the couch with the bat beside me. The night after that, I didn't sleep at all. I kept replaying every step I took, who saw me, what I'd touched, what I'd said. I wanted to disappear. But I didn't. Instead, I went back to the Dropbox and sent everything. The names I hadn't shared yet. The second half of the recording. The girl's voice. Her crying. If I was going down, I wasn't going alone. I don't know if Landon's team knew how much I had, but they knew I was still breathing, and that was enough to make me dangerous. I wasn't doing this for revenge. I was doing it because someone had to. Landon vanished from the spotlight. No arrest. No official statement. Just gone. His Instagram went dark. Sponsors. Restructured. Some sports blog said he had a health issue, and was stepping away from competition indefinitely. No one mentioned the girls. The story I leaked got picked up by a podcast. Then a subreddit. Then a quiet wave of other posts started surfacing, anonymous accounts, all eerily similar. Same hotel. Same city. Same type of girl. Still no mainstream media. Still no police knocking on my door. But I knew the pressure was building. The nonprofit told me off record that they were working on something coordinated. A class action, maybe? Or a federal investigation. They didn't say much. Just, don't disappear. Stay reachable. So I stayed. Didn't mean I felt safe. A week ago, someone broke into my apartment. No forced entry. Nothing stolen. But my laptop was wiped. Like it had never existed. And taped to the fridge, just 2 words. It's time. I didn't tell anyone. Not even the nonprofit. I just sat there, staring at those words until the sun came up. Now every sound makes me jump. I don't eat if I didn't cook it. I stopped going outside at night. I see shadows where there aren't any. But I'm not running. Not yet. Because even if nothing happens, no trial, no arrests, no front-page exposé, I need them to know something. I'm still here. And I remember everything. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. Not dead. Not yet anyway. But I've packed a bag. I've moved the files. There's a locker at Union Station with a backup drive and a letter addressed to the nonprofit. Another copy is buried in a coffee can under a mile marker on Route 41. You'll know which one if you need it. I'm not hiding. I'm just positioning. Because I know how these people work. They don't knock. They wait. They scare you until you erase yourself. Until you convince everyone around you that you were unstable from the start. But I'm not unstable. I'm alert. I'm sharper than I've ever been. There's still no arrest. No names. The girl is still missing. Or maybe she's not. Maybe she got out. Maybe she changed her name. Maybe she lives in a town where no one calls her sweetheart, like it's a warning. I hope so. I hope she never has to think about me again. But I still think about her. Every time I hear a soft knock on the door. Every time I walk past a hotel room and smell bleach. Every time I see a young girl laughing too loudly in a place that feels too expensive. There's no real ending to this. I didn't save her. But I didn't let them keep her quiet either. Let them come.